Good morning, our dear audience. First of all, let's thank God for giving us the opportunity so that we can gather here in order to debate the motion should cell phone be banned during class or in school. Today's debate consists of two teams. Before the debate starts, I will read the rules of debate first. 1. Introduction. Each learner has to introduce themselves for 1 minute. 2. Submission of topic statements. Each team has to present their argument every 3 minutes. Start from clear affirmation and then team opposition. 3. Rebuttal. Each team has to comment on the arguments from other team for 3 minutes. So now I invite the spokesperson for each team to introduce themselves. The introduction for each team is 1 minute start from the government team.
Good morning, Ms. Jenny, moderator and colleges from the counter team who we respect. Introducing my name is Caroline as a speaker one who will provide definition and present various opening argument regarding the motion that will be debated this time. Next, let me introduce two of my colleges, namely Virginia Checo as the second speaker who will present and rebut the argument regarding the motion being debated this time. Next, my last college, Olivia Jerica, as the third speaker, will reconstruct the discussion of the debate this time. That's all for the introduction of our team. Thank you. In our debate motion, this time about eliminating the use of mobile phone during school learning. I, as a team pro, really support this debate motion. We as humans certainly cannot be separate from cellular phone. However, as a student, the use of cell phone must be considered and limited. I totally agree because this can bring benefit to students, one of which is increase student concentration when learning takes place without being disturbed by cell phone, because students often lose concentration during learning because they are distracted by notifications that often appear on cell phone, making this content of student mind quickly want to play. Second one, avoiding lies between teachers and students. Students often make lies to teachers. Mobile phone should be collected, but the student don't collect them. This is not good for students. The value of honesty is not embedded in this student. The third, the use of mobile phone can also trigger student attitude to cheat during exams. Students can do sneaky things such as putting a cell phone under the table and the searching good via cell phone. That is all, and thank you.
And now I invite the speaker one from the opposition team to present your argument for 3 minutes. Speaker one from team opposition, you may speak.
Thank you, Fatin, for the arguments and the explanation of the debate motion today. And good morning to my fellow friends and Ms. Jenny as the moderator of this debate. Firstly, allow me to introduce myself and my teammates. I'm Rachel Ecclesiak as speaker one, and there is Novia NG as speaker two, and last but not least, there is Angkitasha as speaker three. We are very honored to be in this debate, and we are here to talk about the debate motion as the opposition team. So I want to talk about the benefit of using smartphone in class as a menu of learning process. As we know, smartphone usage by students in school is always get a bad views from many people. But actually, the use of smartphone itself have many benefits that can help them in learning process at school. Like the student can get a lot of information, knowledge to help them learning on their study materials. The time efficiency in the class is much more effective because they can actually listen to explanation from the teacher without having to take a note that might be distracting for them. Besides that, students can take a picture of the study material and recording the explanation to get in-depth understanding about the material. And it can improve student will to study because students can use their phone to listen out to audiobook or songs that can help them to be more focused on study break. And we have some research that the use of smartphone in learning process from some school in global village. The result says the study described that smartphone in their use, especially in operating applications, make it easier for students to help their learning performance. And it assists the teacher in using group to discuss lesson problem or find solution for students to understand the material. Also, in this digitalized era, as we live in today, it's deeply regretted if we don't utilize the existence of gadgets in our daily life, including the school environment. So I really disagree about this debate motion because if we underestimate the usage of smartphone as many smartphone used in class, we are already wasting all the benefit that student can actually have. Thank you.
Next, I invite the speaker two from the aforementioned team to present your argument for 3 minutes. Speaker two, you may speak.
Thank you for the argument from the cons team, and thank you, moderator. I still don't agree with the arguments that you said. My partner explained several points that the use of cell phones can have a negative impact on students, one of which is reducing concentration and line between teachers and students can occur and can interfere with student learning. In the statement, I want to emphasize again the point where the use of cell phone can affect student concentration. So, from our research, the article says the importance of concentration on learning achieving good performance. Basically, the main purpose of learning is for students to master the subject matter. An effective learning process needs a concentration from student. Learning concentration is a concentration of thought or attention on information obtained by student during the learning process. So that's why the use of cell phone during learning must be limited because it can increase students' concentration. And more thing, if students are given leeway in using cell phone in learning, students will misuse this opportunity with things that are not useful. If this if this is allowed, then the generation we hope for will become slave to technology. This has the potential to influence student attitude and behavior. If there is no control from teacher, student can just use cell phone to watch porn video and distribute them, which is very dangerous for the youth of this nation who will become addicted. Therefore, the use of cell phone at school must be limited and teacher must monitor the use of cell phone so as not to interfere with student lessons. Collecting cell phone can reduce the potential for using cell phone because cell phone have been properly secured by the teacher. So of course, there is no potential for student to lose cell phone. And finally, limiting the use of cell phone can also form the character of discipline in students. Students are already formed in terms of obeying rules school. An ethical character is also formed, for example, in terms of respecting teachers during classroom learning. Focus more while listening the teacher explanation without having to be distracted with cell phone. Thank you.
Thank you. I invite the speaker to from opposition team to present your arguments for 3 minutes. You may speak.
Thank you, Virginia, as affirmative group for the argument. But I strongly believe the cell phone don't be banned during the class or in school, because the cell phone have many benefits during the classroom and school learning. Cell phones are useful for students to acknowledge and understand material by the teacher. The ban on cell phone can reduce student ability to manage time and maturity of a student and responsibility for something. What should be in this high school period is trained for the future of the student. One way to train it with the use of this cell phone is to see the responsibility and maturity of students. Based on a research, the government of New South Wales, Australia said that it was reviewing and freeing secondary school and high school to make their own regulation in cell phone policy. They said, we recognize the technology plays an important and greater role as students advance in education. We want to give secondary school and high school the flexibility to balance the benefit and risks of the technology in the best way to support their students. The ban on cell phone can make students misunderstand that learning is because they are to dictate by the teacher. In fact, there may be explaining from the teacher that are lacking or wrong. So the use of cell phone can actually be useful for obtaining broader educational information, such from Google or Wikipedia, which is more than information of the textbook which the teacher can forget about material being explained. It is true that in some cases the use of cell phone class is disrupt student learning focus. But what about other students who have used the cell phone properly to focus on education will be at a disadvantage if the cell phone is banned. This problem is very basic and solution must come from two views, the teacher and the student. From the teacher must able to manage his student in using the cell phone. For example, by making a learning method that is not monotonous, as previously only explained but change to giving explanation while asking question or giving student the competition to search on Google and explain it, and if one can answer, we add additional grade. This action must also be followed by student of responsibility, care, and respect for the teacher by following the lesson carefully. We can judge one person who made a mistake and we assume everyone makes the same mistake and finally punish all those people. That's all of my arguments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Speaker 3.
Now we move on to speaker 3 from the affirmations team to present your argument for 3 minutes.
Thank you, moderator, for giving this opportunity. As argued by my two partners, here I want to conclude that indeed humans cannot be separated from cell phones, from gadget. But as students, we must be able to limit this use. And it is true that day by day, technology is getting more sophisticated. The future of the nation must be able to master this, that they do not become technologically illiterate. But if we are not controlled, we can become slaves to technology. We'll continue to one instant things without waiting a process. Moreover, we as students are still in terms of the learning process. If the school continues to allow the use of mobile phones without any restrictions, what will be the able character and concentration of students? If you have a cell phone, students will be more engrossed in their own world. No matter who is around him, do not want to mingle with friends. A student who used to be an introvert will actually become more introverted because there is no spirit of interaction in this student. Mobile phones can also affect the learning process of student at school. There is no ethics in student. They do not respect the teacher who is teaching. And at home, there will be definitely be more students use their time with their mobile phones. When they are at home, they over use their mobile phones, and at school, they use their mobile phones too. In our opinion, at school, it is the right time for students to take a break so they are slaves to technology, focus on studying. For character, by refraining from use cell phones, even if a situation requires students to use mobile phones. The role of the teacher must limit students in using it, control that so that students do not open anything other than for benefit of learning. So I, as the third speaker and representing the voice of my partner emphasize and ask for support and our team's statement to be approved. For the good of students in their learning process at school and must be able to go through the process without anything instant from technology. That is all, and thank you.
Thank you. Lastly, we move to the speaker three from the opposition team to present your arguments for 3 minutes.
Thank you to the moderator for allowing me to speak. I strongly disagree with the response of the opposition team if the use of mobile phone is prohibited from being used by students at school. In today's era, the use of technology is growing, especially among students, such as the use of cell phone in learning. By using cell phone, students find it easier to find information or broader material. The government alone has issued many policies and programs of which is freedom to learn. Merdeka learning provides freedom in learning. That is, it can be anywhere, anytime, even from any source, especially in a pandemic like today. Like, like it or not, we have to apply learning methods with various learning sources. One of them is learning through digital technology. One example is the case at Muhammadiyah 5 Surakarta Vocational School, which is a school that utilizes smartphone technology advances as a learning medium. In this era of globalization, of course, all school children, especially at the vocational level, must have a smartphone. Most of the teachers use smartphone brought by students of a for convenience in the teaching and learning process. Because in the learning process, if you only rely on textbooks, it feels very monotone. So they take advantage of smartphone to facilitate the teaching and learning process. Thank you.
Thank you. Submission of arguments from each team has been submitted. Then each team is welcome to refute the other team's argument for 3 minutes. Start from affirmance team. Speaker one, you may speak.
Okay. Thank you, Speaker 1, for the argument. But there are few things I want to refute. In the first point, you said the student get broader information. At this point, can student get knowledge without using technology? For example, from books, encyclopedias, and others. Students can be more independent in their own answer by trying to read book instead of having to search Google or other source using a cell phone. The second point is that students are more able to take notes or record explanation from the teacher. Precisely, in the absence of cell phones, students can practice improve writing and talking, not when the teacher is explaining. Based on the article, it explained that diligent note taking and fast writing can make the brain smarter because the people who are used to writing by hand also have a large brain's memory. And when writing something, The movements are also simpler. If you write by hand, there are more lines that move, so that the brain works actively and productively, and most people listening to song while doing assignment will hinder work from being completed quickly, and it's easy to get distracted. That's it all, and thank you.
Next speaker 2, you may speak.
So first thing, the speaker one is asking using book, is it enough to get information of knowledge? I think using just book to get information or knowledge is not enough because for from what Booker T. Washington said, although he attended to school and received all the same education, Washington felt ill-equipped when he took up his life work or funding institute when he found himself thrust into instruction individuals whose knowledge and understanding exist on his own. So is it so? By using a book, uh, we not get a lot. We not get a lot information. And the second thing is the student are more able to take a note or record explanation from the teacher. The student should take a note or take a note take a note when the teacher explaining the material. It's takes so much time and wasting a lot of time. So it's more efficient to student just take the picture, and when the student get home, he take a note at their house. And the third is explain on like digital note taking, make the person have a larger brain memory. I think is it affect to some people, but not all the people is use can access it when they're study, because there's other people too use visual learner to study. That's it. Thank you.
Next speaker 3, you may speak.
Thank you, moderator. Uh, I will interruption to speaker one. You said the use of cell phone can also trigger student attitude to cheat during exam. Students can do sneaky things such as putting a cell phone under the table and then searching Google via cell phone. But the fact is then even though they don't use cell phone, students still cheat when doing tests. Students often cheat with small piece of paper hidden when doing tests. So even they don't use their cell phone, students will still do other ways to cheat. That way, what's wrong is not the cell phone, but the mindset of student. Thank you.
Then the opposition team turn. Speaker 1, you may speak.
Will be easier to find the answer. And if you don't use it, student may not cheat because of rigorous supervision. For example, check student before the exam. Indeed, it has to do with the student mindset. But if you're using a cell phone, the student change are greater than without using a cell phone. Student can change the screen faster. If with paper test, student will find it more difficult to.
Thank you for today.
Thank you.
Udah.
Ya,
Oke.
terima
Thank you
kasih.
guys.